Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you all, depending on where you're tuning in from. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Just going to do a quick intro, and then we'll be into it. So yeah, welcome along to another live Instagram interview. Please give your country a shout out. As always, post up any questions. Tell us what you're driving. We'll do our best to kind of cover questions or whatever. If you throw anything up there, if you've not tuned in before, please also check out our previous interviews on IGTV. We've also got those on Facebook and YouTube as well. So there's plenty of other kind of conversations just like this one over there, and hopefully you'll find something which you enjoy. My name's Andy. I've worked at Heritage Park Centre for 13 years. My job involves meeting people, sharing stories about their vehicles and their businesses, and basically the passion for the hobby. And today, as you can see, the game's kind of been given away a little bit. Mark runs a prominent Porsche sales and workshop business during the week. He's a multi-championship winning racing driver at the weekend. Cut his teeth with Beetles, but he's got into kind of things which are a little bit more exotic in recent times. So yeah, welcome along, Mark Sumpter. Thank you very much for joining me.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, so Porsche owners are probably pretty familiar with your business, but for those who haven't heard of you, how would you sum up what Paragon does?
Well, shall I show you around?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, you're just a little bit quiet. If we can,
okay.
Yeah, walk us around and tell us the story.
Around the showroom. There we go. Right. So we've been here for, well, it's our 28th year here. So we were here for 1993. We're solely specialising in Porsches and pretty much mainly the sports cars rather than Panameras and Cayennes. We occasionally have a Macan.
Yeah,
I drive a Macan, sort of tow a trailer, race cars off the trailer. With that, a really good car for that. But predominantly, we're selling sports cars. We normally have a range of air-cooled. We've only got what have we got that's air-cooled? We've got two or three cars in here at the moment, but yeah, obviously some.
Is there a particular model which is kind of your go-to staple, which you could sell all day long?
Yeah, I mean we like to keep a range. We like to always have a few cars under £20,000 because it's good to sort of it's great to get customers at that level of money, and then over the years and years sort of work with them, and as they progress. I'll just show you into the workshop.
What we got in there then?
Well, that there is it's actually
993.
Yeah, it's a 993 Turbo 4, albeit dressed up to look like a GT2.
Cool.
It's got its boot lid off at the moment. It's gone for some repairs. There were some cracks in the composite of the boot lid.
Okay.
So we've got a tyre machine. You've got some reflections going on here, but we've got a tyre machine.
That's all right.
There's an MOT bay and geometry at the end there. It's a 993 in for service. We've got engine in bits there. We're building a race engine for a customer.
Oh, cool.
For the new Porsche Challenge series that's starting this year.
Okay.
So yeah. I won't take you in there because the guys are busy and it's probably quite noisy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll take you back to my desk.
That's what you do in a nutshell.
That's what we do. Yeah, there's a small garage. We're in East Sussex, and there's 12 of us here working here. Sort of split fairly equally between sales guys, beavering away there.
We'll check in on them, make sure they're doing some work over the
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we'll have a little tea break and make sure they've sold something. So yeah, and we love to have things like this, which is that's a 1997 manual Carrera 4 Cabriolet.
Cool. Is that your race car?
There's my race car. Yeah, a 2-litre 1965 911.
Cool.
Which is cool.
No price ticket in the window then, you're keeping
that? No, there you go. Look, complete with its wooden dashboard.
Oh, amazing.
Lovely. Let's go back to the desk.
Is it road legal as well?
Yeah. Which is quite good actually, because it you don't really want to be wasting any of your track time bedding brakes in and sort of, you know, bedding tyres. So we do all of that before we get to the race weekend.
Yeah.
Just we can use that, you know, on the road carefully. Bed the brakes in. Sometimes bed the brakes in for the weekend. So your bed, you know, you might have a set of pads ready for the race, because the races are quite long, they're 90 minutes. So
yeah,
you'll do your testing and qualifying on maybe a car set of brake pads and then change them again for the race. So, you know, it's nice to not have to use an out lap or a testing lap to waste time bedding things in. You want to go out there and know you can get on it straight away, really.
perfect. You're giving all your secrets away now.
Yeah.
So you say you've been going 27 years, is that right?
Yeah. It's our 28th year in a few months' time. Yeah.
And I'm right in thinking you started with Beetles?
Yeah. So,
which is...
So when we started here, I was already we started here in the July in '93, and that was halfway through our racing season in the Big Boys Toys Beetle Cup.
Okay.
I was racing in that with our car that we prepared and ran. And then we had a couple of customers join us for selective rounds, but mine was for every round, and did that for 2 years. So when we started, obviously, you know, we were in our early 20s, and this was a village petrol station. So we didn't have the money to suddenly have a stock of Porsches and go for it. We knew what we knew what we were dreaming of, but we had to sort of tread fairly slowly and carefully. So yeah, we were doing Beetles, and really enjoyed the Beetle scene. You know, used to go to Santa Pod and some of the other shows, and obviously the racing. Really enjoyed it. But by the end of '94, we stopped racing the cars, and the demand for the Porsche business was taking over really from the VW business. So I think by the end of '94, we had a few customers that we looked after for a few more years, but predominantly we sort of gave up with the VW scene probably end of '94, beginning of '95.
Okay.
Yeah.
So has the Beetle still got a special place in your heart? Like, would you want another one? I don't know whether you've got one. Would you want another one? And if so, anything in particular? Yeah.
I mean, actually, strangely, the guy that we're building the race engine for, he's a real VW fan, Carmen Gear.
Okay.
And every time he comes in, he says, "Oh, you've got to look at this website." I think it's DDK. Is it DDK? Is that?
Yeah.
And he was in a couple of months ago and made me look at Beetles, and it's bad for him. I have to give myself a talking to, because I think if I bought one, it would be probably a 50s one, like a 50s. I've never had, you know, an old Beetle.
Yeah.
Well, I say old. I mean, it was old. It was early 70s, because that's what we were.
Yeah.
But I think if I was going to ever buy another one, it would be probably a 57, I think, of that sort of era with a smaller.
The last of the ovals.
Yeah, an oval one. It would have to be one that was done, because I haven't got the time or patience to do a restoration. And I think it would need to have a bit of a hot rod. I think I'd want better brakes and definitely a bit of horsepower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and probably like a cool green or blue. You know, there's some of those the proper 50. You know probably the colours, like I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that which I guess is probably what most people would look for. Is it? I don't know.
I think everyone's got their own kind of thing, but yeah, there's a certain charm about, especially the oval window is kind of potentially one of the best sort of mixture between vintage and kind of usable as well. I think the splits are a little bit finicky for if you want to use it a fair amount, but yeah, the oval became a bit more usable. Yeah,
I did have an early bay about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
Sort of got into going to a couple of festivals, and I drove it down to Classic Le Mans. And really enjoyed that. It was a 1969 California, registered from new, left-hand drive, early bay, and it was really good fun. I really liked it, really good. So whether or not one of those again or a Beetle, I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely weak for one.
Wouldn't say never.
Yeah.
So if we move on to your kind of motorsport stuff, I've done a couple of track days, but I've never raced, although kind of messing around at local kart circuits and things. Have you got any particular personal preparation regimes before you do a race?
You're Well, you probably know that you've got your time slot for the race, so you know when you're going to be on the circuit. You've probably qualified the previous day or very early in the morning.
Yeah.
So you tend to nervously look at your watch too many times, like when it's coming up to you being called to go to the collecting area, and just before you get called for the collecting area, you tend to visit the toilet and make sure that if you're not,
it's like doing one of these.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Make sure you're not going to suddenly get strapped in the car and think, yeah, no, I should have gone. And then you meet half the grid in there. You know, they're all having the same thing. Yeah, I'm nervous an hour before the race. Then you get into the collecting area and you put your crash helmet on and you're in the car and you shut the door, and then it all goes quiet, obviously.
Yeah.
And I quite like that period. And you know, if you've done a good job of testing and qualifying, you're not too nervous because you should know what you're doing, and you know, and it's all should, you know, as long as there's no disasters, it's yeah. I sort of settle down then. I feel quite calm, and then as the lights go green, it's all fun really, and
you're off.
Yeah, and then you haven't got time because you're focused and you haven't got time to worry about things. So you just, you know, and you just concentrate on what's directly in front of you or behind you or whatever, and just do the best you can do really.
Yeah, having obviously all the cars, it's bad enough when you're karting, but they're kind of down by your legs, aren't they? Like all the cars in your mirrors and everything must be
Yeah, I mean it's weird, isn't it? Because if wherever you've qualified, you know, the car in front of you, or hopefully there's nothing in front of you, but if there is, they're probably only a tenth of a second a lap faster. So you don't really feel the speed necessarily because you're not suddenly closing down, you know, and it depends on what type of race. Obviously, if it's in a multi-class race, you could either get lapped or you could be lapping people, and then you see the speed differential. But in the stuff I've been doing recently, definitely with this little 2-litre Cup car, we're all within such small, you know, and we're on Grand Prix circuits, so they're long circuits, and we're all really, really close. So you look at the qualifying, and sometimes there's 5 cars within 3 or 4 tenths of a second. So, so it shouldn't, you know, if it all goes well and you don't have any problems and no one in front of you suddenly spins or does something erratic, you should sort of circulate at roughly the same speed, and then you're just concentrating on hitting all your braking points and making sure that everything goes as it should do, really. But yeah, I used to get really nervous. The Group C car, when I raced that, was super fast and high downforce and all of that, and I guess I got a bit more nervous with that.
Is that the PlayStation car?
No, it was a 962. So like Rothman's cars were. And, yeah, very, very fast car, and that used to make me quite nervous because there was a lot going on and there's a lot that could go wrong, and it was, you know, I was further out my comfort zone. The 911s, I've been racing them for 25 years, so I ought to know pretty much what you're doing. The early days were different.
Have you had any bad accidents while racing, or kind of totaled anything?
Yeah, early on. Yeah, I mean, so when we stopped racing Beetles, I got 3.2. Well, it was actually an SC, 911 SC, 3-litre.
Yeah,
that's a big jump from a 100 horsepower Beetle to suddenly driving something with a lot more grip because we were on racing tyres and, you know, 2.5 times the horsepower and things. And I definitely drove it beyond my ability early on. So the first season I had plenty of shunts. And the second year we only raced that car for a year. So by 96, we bought a 964 RS or Cup. Which at the time was quite modern. It was 4 years old, so you know it felt like a new car. And I had a big shunt at Spa with that, which is totally, well, I say totally my fault. At the time, I said it was totally the other guy's fault. But basically, we were, I think it was like 2 or 3 laps into the race, and we were at the fastest part of the circuit, so at the end of the straight. So we're flat out in 5th gear. I don't know, 130 or something. And his brake lights came on in a place where it was 100 or 50, 200 yards before you brake. And I thought, oh, he's trying to put me off because I was on, you know, in his slipstream and stuff. I thought he's just left foot, you know, touched the brake lights put me off. So I just kept my foot hard in. And then about a second later, I hit him just straight in the back. I mean, it was just really, when I look back, and we both just turned sort of 90 left into the barriers at high speed. And that was a shock. And I took the whole front of the car off, and it was a bit embarrassing, really, when, you know, you have to go back to your mechanics and apologise and things.
Yeah.
Not only have you not come round and wasted the weekend, but we literally had to cut the front of a car off, and as a road car that would have been a write-off. But
mad. What was his reason? Did he say?
That was over 20 years ago, and that's since I reckon the first 2 or 3 years you're really learning at anything like that, and now we have a occasional spin or something like that, but it's you obviously pushing hard, so that's sort of, But no, touch wood, it's all been okay since then, really, since about late 90s, I guess.
So also they're building a 924 with a social use project. The car doesn't make them nervous. It's slow enough, but the people in the seat beside them are the biggest problem.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's I get used to who I'm racing against. So yeah, then quite often, if you go into, like, if I've ever done like a one-off race, so some of the Goodwood races, where they'll invite quite a lot of different people, and obviously Goodwood, it's great if you ever get invited to race, you never turn it down. Yeah. But we're always on a different tyre that we don't normally use, a cross-ply tyre at Goodwood, because they like the cars to move around a lot. Yeah. So that's quite exciting. Goodwood itself is quite exciting. And then you look at the grid and you've got no idea of who else you're racing against, whereas you normally get used to sort of who to give a wide berth to and who not to. And so that sometimes become, that's a whole new element, something I'm not always used to. And you're suddenly thinking, I think he's going to let me past or whatever, lapped cars, whatever. And that gets your attention.
Do you ever get given, I guess you've driven other people's cars, so they kind of hand you the keys and sort of go, just give it 90%. We want this one back.
Yeah, I mean, the best one I had with that was in 2016. I did Classic Le Mans with a friend of mine, Lee Maxted Page, that runs another Porsche specialist. Yeah. One of his customers had an original 1974 RSR, which is worth a lot of money, and they only built 50. Wow. A significant car and totally original. And myself and Lee were offered to drive it at Classic Le Mans, which was, just amazing. And the owner came down with us, and I did a stint in the middle of the night, and I don't know, I was in the car for about an hour or whatever, and I pitted, and as I'm getting out the car, this chap's coming up to me and saying, "Thank you for driving my car. It's really nice of you to drive my car." And it's such an odd feeling.
Yeah.
Such a weird.
At least he did that when you got out.
Yeah. I had looked after it. It didn't have any dents on it, so yeah, it's fine.
A quick diversion. Someone's asked if you could rebuild K-Jectronic on a 924 turbo. Obviously, maybe not personally, but
I was going to say I can't. Yeah, I'm sure we can, or if not, I'm sure we can. If they could email in, that would be great. Service@paragongb.com. Just email us, and we'll. If we can't do it, we'll definitely recommend someone that can.
Perfect. There we go. So would you rather spend a day racing modern or classic race cars, given the chance?
I love both. I definitely, I'm really enjoying racing classic cars at the moment. But I'd hate to think I'd sort of given up on modern cars with slicks and things. With a modern car, you've got to have the budget. The worst thing ever is to go out on a grid of cars. Go out with a grid and feel that you're unprepared and you haven't tested enough. Less so with classics, because they're so tyre limited that really, as long as the car's there or thereabouts, that a good driver can win a race in that car. Yeah. With a modern, everything has to be 100%, and it sometimes means 2 or 3 days testing, making sure that you've got the right data guy, you've thrown enough new tyres at the project, you've really got to have everything 100%, and that's expensive. So I suppose money no object, a brand new car with slick tyres and a team around you,
Yeah.
with where we are today, which, you know, we don't have sponsors and things like that, then classics are more rewarding, because we can win races at the moment in classic cars, you know, with the budget that we've got.
Yeah. Is there something, any particular series you'd like to just have a go at? If someone said, here's the keys to Hamilton's Mercedes or NASCAR, IndyCar, anything like that, is there something which you'd like, yeah, I'll have a go in that, just for fun, if not racing?
The dream, and it probably won't happen. I mean, I've done classic Le Mans, and I've raced Group C car at Le Mans. I'd love to do Le Mans, you know, and
yeah.
it's really tough now. You know, I missed an opportunity 20 years ago when I expensive it was about 25 grand to be in quite a good car at Le Mans, and now it would be £300,000 or £400,000 if you had to buy a drive at Le Mans. You know, it's crazy money. More realistic, I think, Carrera Cup, you know, or Super Cup would be amazing. You know, the Formula One support thing.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be offered a go in a friend that's got a nearly new Super Cup car, and I drove it at Silverstone for 20 minutes, and they are, you know, it feels quite alien to me, because it's so sort of flat. It doesn't pitch and roll like the 911s I've driven. But it was really exciting, and when I got out of it, I thought, yeah, I'd like to do another day's testing in that, and again, throw new tyres at it and start trying to get down to a time in it and things. So, yeah, I think that, you know, anything that any of these new Porsche motorsport cars would be phenomenal, but only if you can afford to do it, you know, and afford to, you know, I say afford to do it, afford to race it, but also give yourself a good chance to be competitive with testing and tyres, and so you've got to give a lot of time and money. Yeah.
If you were given hypothetical kind of 20 grand to buy a Porsche for some track day fun, what would you buy?
So if you'd asked me a few years ago, it was obvious you'd go and buy an old SC or 3.2 Carrera or 964, but in the last, we were looking at this actually yesterday with just with a customer that we were chatting to, and you know, when we built our two 964s that we raced in Porsche Club in 2012, we went out there to buy a couple of Carrera 2 964s, and in 2012 they were 12,000 quid, and you could buy, you know, they were plentiful at 12,000.
Your choice.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the classic car scene, you know, it's everything classic from sort of 2010, 12 to today has gone up massively. I think also the fact that Singer are you know, collecting these cars for donor vehicles for their projects, you just can't find them anymore. I mean, I don't think you'd get an SC or a 964 for less than probably 40. So today, I'd definitely say ex-race car. So I'd look for either a Boxster, you know, one of these Boxster Challenge cars, or if you could find one, if you're lucky enough, or 968, you know, one of those sort of ex-track day or sort of race car would be my recommendation, simply because you're going to have a safe car with a roll cage in it and harnesses and bucket seats and all, you know, all of the safety equipment. Because once you've done a couple of track days in your road car, you'll be looking to fit all of that otherwise. So I think probably a Boxster or a 968, I guess.
Someone said, "Hi, Uncle Mark, Jamie and Caroline." So you got some.
He's done a bit of racing.
I
won British GT. Okay,
knows what he's doing then. Talking of buying Porsches, so business must have changed, I guess, somewhat for you in the past 12 months. I gather people can now, or customers can now, click and collect. How do you make that work for you, and obviously also for the customer?
Yeah, I mean, we were a bit dinosaurs as far as it was concerned with Zoom and all of that sort of thing. So all of us had to learn that quite quickly. Working really well. I suppose, luckily for us, you know, we have been around for quite a while, and we've got a good reputation, so that helps us a lot. People trust us. So for customers that we have either worked with before or previous Porsche customers that understand what they want, it's working. You know, and we've delivered. We're not quite up to the numbers that we would normally be, but we're probably at 75% of our normal sales every month. Where we're struggling And what we would like, what we really encourage normally is someone that doesn't know what they want, wants to come and visit us, and they want to try, Boxster, Cayman, and 911, and they really don't know, and they want talking through the range. They may even not know if they want PDK or manual and all of that. And for those people, we've had to say, please don't buy anything at the moment. Wait until we're out of this lockdown, and hopefully they won't buy until they're ready, because it's an expensive mistake if they get the wrong car, and there's only so much you can do without actually physically coming in and touching the cars and driving the cars. We really encourage test drives normally. So obviously we haven't done a test drive now for, I think we did a few in the summer when we were allowed to, but we haven't definitely since, I suppose, the end of October, wasn't it, when we last went into lockdown? Yeah. So we're really looking forward to getting back to that. But yeah, it's amazing what you can do remotely. Lots of telephone conversations. We still like to talk to people rather than just email, and Zoom calls. Yeah, we've been. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good for us to learn as well.
Before this came along, I seem to recall speaking to either you or one of the other guys. I think you've done some cars for like export and stuff before. So you've had people who have bought without physically being there, haven't you?
Yes, we have. Yeah. We like to sell the cars to people, to customers that are in the UK, because obviously if you export a car, we've sold a few cars to America when there's certain cars they didn't get in America, like a 964 RS. Yeah, it was never supplied in America, so it's and they love them, and they're allowed now to import them as classic vehicles. So we have exported a few. We don't like exporting them because you never see the car again. Yeah. For us, it's obviously better for us if we've put a lot of effort into preparing a car to our standards. It's nice to sell it to a Paragon customer and then have a Paragon customer for service, and when they're finished with it, have it back and have another go at it. Another chance of selling it, buying and selling it. So our preference is to sort of sell within our customer base and sell to people in the UK. But we've exported a few. We mainly deal in right-hand drive Porsches, so we obviously don't sell that much into Europe, but we do sell throughout the whole of the UK. So we've got a car. We've got just sitting in the corner. We've got a 996 Carrera 4S that's going to Scotland. So the guy won't see that car until it's delivered. So that's very trusting. It's sold one to Wigan. Oh, he's just sold one today to Wigan. So these guys, they're not going to see their cars until they come out the trailer. So it's it's nice for us. It gives us pride that we're doing the job properly, and and so far everyone's been very pleased with what they've received. They've not sent it back. Return to sender on the trailer. Back. No, they've all been delighted with what they've received, and we've got some good logistics people, driving them around the country, and people that understand Porsches. So when they get them out the other end, they can explain to people, how it works and do a handover for us. Cool. Couple more questions if you're up for them. Top tips on 996 GT3 Mark 1s? Well, we love them. They're super rare. There's 106 cars in the UK. It's such a low number. We've just sold both. We've just sold a Club Sport last week, which is still here, waiting to go. I think, how many Club Sports, Jay? 26? 28 Club Sports. And obviously, 106 total cars. They were used, when they were 3 or 4 years old. And you'd go to a track day, and they'd all be down the pit lane. So if someone's buying one, be very, very wary, because we've seen a lot that have had accident damage. So of the 106 cars, I guess half of them are still great sort of investment grade cars. A good half of them are probably being bit wobbly. And it's not saying it's a bad car, but not to an investment, not investment grade. Definitely think that they're a good car to put your money, good fun, it's obviously the first ever GT3 built by Porsche Motorsport, which is, you know, and you can feel that when you drive one. It really feels motorsport. You know, it's sort of got a raw feeling to it. Extremely, you know, great fun to drive. Really, really cool. Yeah, we're massive fans of them. We're actually looking to buy a couple at the moment because we've sold these two, and we had more than 2 customers that wanted them. So it's
okay.
It's quite weird because as soon as the sold sign comes up, you suddenly
Everyone wants it.
Yeah, you suddenly find out, oh, you know, I'm just about to pull the trigger and buy that car. So now we've got a list of people that want them. But yeah, I highly recommend them. And I think they're aging really well. The cars are 20 years old now, and I think I like the look of them more now than I did when they were new cars. You know?
Yeah.
They've actually, obviously the size hasn't changed, but they feel like a small car now. You park them next to, you know, Porsches are getting bigger every year. So as a road car, it feels nicer because you can place it, you know, on an A or B road. You can drive it more accurately than, you know, a 992 is such a huge car now that you need all the road, and you tend to have your wheels in the gutter all the time. So it's not as relaxing to drive as a 996.
Oh, we've got a few more if you're up for some off the list.
Yeah.
Would you ever do a Paragon Resto mod?
We don't really have the space to do. I mean, we could do some of the work here, but we don't. You know, we've got a service shop. We're quite space limited. So we would manage. We would definitely manage a resto mod for someone. You know, we've got great guys, great body shops that would do it. Yeah, I like some of them. Obviously, I think the Singer have got the styling beautifully. You know, they've really nailed it. I'm less fond of others that I see, but
yeah.
I definitely feel that there's things to do. You know, what we try to say to someone, look, let's just see what Porsche, you know, what they produced. We're really big fans of 964 RSs, but understand that some people might say, well, you know, 260 horsepower is not enough. So definitely say to someone, look, we can fit modern dampers. We can fit, you know, we can give you, you can put a nice conversion to take that car to 350 horsepower.
Yeah.
And just doing those two things, you know, 350 horsepower and a good set of Öhlins dampers on a 964 RS, and you've got a phenomenal car, and you've still got the investment potential. So we try to steer people, you know, we try to make sure it makes sense that if they get bored of it at the end of the project, they haven't just sort of spent the money in the wrong direction. So we try to do things that make sense and don't take the car into a direction that no one else is going to appreciate when you finish with it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We've got another one. What's the GT1 like on the road?
Never driven a GT1 on the road. It's my car is a race car. So it was the last car that they built. They built 9 cars. Well, they actually built 7. There's 9 numbers, but 2 were test cars. So there were 9 customer cars, as they call them, and mine is number 9.
Okay.
But I would imagine, I mean, I don't know. The road car, I think out of the, you know, the Mercedes did one, didn't they? And I've sat in both the Porsche and the Mercedes, and I'm sure the Porsche is going to be a nicer road car than the Mercedes, which was really tough to get in and out of. You sort of fall out of the Mercedes because it's got such high door apertures. There's a blue one that lives up in Scotland, and I really respect the guy because he uses it all the time. You know,
wow.
Pictures of him on Instagram and stuff, and he drives it down to Monaco and stuff like that. So it's great that they're being used. A couple of people have converted race cars to use on the road, and I just think it's a bad idea. You know, I think it's either a race car or a road car. I don't think you can have both. When you look at the spring rates and the ride height and everything else, so I don't think it's something I'd want to do to my car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a go in a road car if anyone's got one and fancy popping down when we're out of lockdown.
We've got some more, but we'll jump back and forth. So I follow you on Instagram, and you're often behind the wheel of something red and Italian. So how would you describe?
500.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. How would you describe the differences between Ferrari and Porsche ownership?
The simple one is that Porsches are 100% reliable. Last summer, on the hottest day, my girlfriend and I went on a trip. It was about a 200-mile trip, and we took something red and Italian, an F40, which I think is obviously an iconic car, really cool car.
Yeah.
And I love it. I absolutely love that car. But we loved it a little bit less when we were half an hour into the journey. We were sitting in a lay-by.
Oh no!
With only half the engine working, and then I was phoning my trusted Italian mechanic Aldo and waiting for him to come with his van and try and fix it. So I mean, part of that, to be fair to Ferrari, is that Ferraris don't get used very often, and anything you don't use very often is likely to give you problems when you do go to use it, because mechanical things like to be used. But when you look under the bonnet of that car versus looking under the bonnet of what Porsche were doing at that time, it's just built in a different vein. You know, the electrics of it it's just a bit hit and miss compared with Porsche. I'm a car enthusiast, so I know other cars exist, and I love other cars, and most car enthusiasts would like a Ferrari, I guess, or like looking at them and everything else. But if I look at the mileage I do with my Porsches versus what I do in a Ferrari, it sort of tells its own story, really. I mean, I do thousands of miles in Porsches and a few hundred in a Ferrari every year. So
Fair enough. There's a question about EV Porsches which popped up a second ago. Have you got any thoughts on the Taycan? Have you had one in yet?
No, haven't had one in. I mean, it looks like it's the future, doesn't it, for us, I guess. I don't think the infrastructure, definitely where we live in Sussex, we're just not ready for it. We don't have the charging stations. I know, talking to other Porsche dealers, they've got quite a lot of technical problems at the moment, but I'm sure that they will get there with them. I like the styling, and I think electric cars definitely got, we need to look at them. I sort of feel that it's coming from the wrong end at the moment. You know, a Taycan Turbo S is £160,000, and I sort of feel that electric cars should be city cars. You know, the sort of little hatchbacks and things. That works better. I know a few people that have had them and given them straight back. And haven't worked for them. But I'm sure they get there. You know, they've got to make it work, haven't they? I just think that we're a few years away from them making any sense to me. That's
fair enough. So if it's not too nosy, I'd like to know what you've got in your car collection.
I've been busy over the last year. The one thing that having a bit of extra time, because we haven't been racing, we obviously, like everybody, you're sort of locked into things. So, and it's been quite good. I've changed a few cars around. So, I bought a really nice Ruby Stone Red 964 RS. And it's a car that I missed 10 years ago. And obviously kicked myself for, because it's doubled in value since then. I kept tabs on it. I was about to buy it 10 years ago, and I just didn't react quick enough, and I was trying to get my head around how much was being asked for it, because it was particularly low mileage one. Anyway, kept tabs on it and managed to get it last year, and it was quite good. The guy's a friend of mine, the previous owner, and he's had my ex-race car 964, so we did a bit of a deal with that. So that's a car that now I'm looking to keep, and really looking forward to enjoying it. I've only driven it locally, but I'm looking forward to enjoying that car. I mentioned Lee Maxted Page earlier, and he helped me find a really good 993 GT2. So again, with a crystal ball, should have bought years ago, but didn't. So again, I've done a couple of, last summer I did manage to use it for a cars and coffee type event that was on, but looking to drive that car a lot, hopefully this summer.
Yeah.
Good. The car behind me, this car we bought, this is
an old cup car.
Genuine Super Cup car from 1993.
Okay.
So that's not been out yet, but we'll, so I've been quite busy adding a few cars. Yeah. And then I've got a car that I was having restored, has been finished again that I haven't been able to use. That came back from the paint shop last year. So I've got a really cool 1970s, 1970, which started off as a 911E Targa. And we've painted it in a really bright metallic green, sort of that era, with the houndstooth seats, and built a 2.7 RS engine for it. So okay, a bit of a hot rod. So yeah, really looking forward to. So I've been quite busy. I'm looking forward to actually using some of them.
Was that the one that was up at Frank's last summer? Is that the one?
What, the Targa?
No, oh no, wasn't a Targa, was it? That was a race car.
We took the race car up there, yeah. Which actually, I was right in the middle of the deal with the Ruby Stone red car, because we actually had both up there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just bought the Ruby Stone car, and the guy, this friend of mine, Christian, that we did the deal with, had my 964 Cup car, and Jay from here, he drove that up there, because we built a fresh engine for it, and we said to Christian, let's put some miles on it. So he kindly said, yeah, take it to Frank's show, which was good fun.
Cool. How often do you get a car in for sale and think I'd really like that one for myself?
I'd say pretty much every purchase that we make. I mean, it's what we do here. We between us, we buy what we like.
Yeah.
And it works for us. We buy the cars that we like and enthuse about, and then we sell them, obviously, with that enthusiasm. So yeah, it's good for us. I'm not saying that every single car that we buy is exactly my spec, because obviously, it's otherwise they'd all have sort of lowered suspension and two
race numbers on the doors.
Yeah. But we pretty much, between the three of us in the showroom, we pretty much focus on what we like, what we think's cool. We follow the market, so we're always also trying to protect. We're trying to buy things that are going to look after our customers monetary wise, as well as being good examples of the type. And that's why we sort of stick with sports cars. We hardly ever sell Cayennes. I don't dislike Cayennes, but no one in here's got massive passion for Cayennes or Panameras or whatever. And we've got limited space in the showroom and on the premises, so we just stick to cool sort of sports cars. We sell a few Macans because we have them. We use them ourselves for transport and to tow trailers and things like that. So that, because we've got them, we end up seeing customers, and so they see us using them and say, can you find me a Macan and things. So we're not anti anything that Porsche put their badge on, but we tend to stick to the cars that we like, and it works well for us.
Have you got a car personally that you'd never sell, or kind of lead to last if everything went tomorrow?
Does it have to be one?
doesn't have to be, but I guess there'd be an order, wouldn't there?
Yeah. So the Ruby Stone car, now I've got it, I'd like to keep that car.
Yeah. I
bought a Carrera GT when they were new in 2005, which I definitely don't ever want to sell.
Yeah.
But I guess if it had to be one car, sort of the car that was with me from the beginning. So the first 911 race car we bought, which is probably the worst car that I own as far as condition. I've definitely not looked after it. And I think it's had like 18 owners or something. And it's been a race car, poor thing, for most of its life. So that is my 1978 SC, which is battered and bruised. but you know, it means a lot to me because I bought it in '94. I then sold it in '95 to a friend. It then went to another friend, and we ran it for these guys. And I bought it back in 2010, and we raced it in the 2011 Porsche Club Championship, which luckily we won that.
Yeah.
So it means a lot. You know, it means a lot to us, and it's definitely could tell a few stories. So that's probably the last car to go.
Cool. How long does it take you to learn a circuit? So do you race in simulators or play computer games, or do you just kind of go for it on a Friday or a Thursday?
I tried the simulator. My friend Lee, Maxley Page again, who we raced in the 2 Litre Cup with, when we were going to Dijon, I'd never been to Dijon, and he said, "Well, we went up to Silverstone. I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of the big firms that have the simulator there." And I just felt sick. I couldn't do it. I mean, he was fine. I just couldn't do it, and I can't see when I'm in it, and they're saying, "Can you see the dip, braking the dip?" Or I just can't see it in 3-dimensional. It just comes to me as a 2-dimensional, you know, just as a screen. So I won't be doing that again. But I definitely look on YouTube and just try and find some, you know, hopefully, like with the 2 Litre Cup, they'd been there. I think they'd been there, not as 2 Litre Cup cars, but there was some onboard footage in a 2 Litre 911 round Dijon.
Yeah.
So I've watched that a few times. But it only really tells you if it's a left or right corner coming up. You know, it doesn't really give you gradients or anything. Even I find it hard to do that. So it's pretty much the Friday. You need to get there, and normally you can learn a circuit within half an hour, I'd say, to be pretty much on the pace.
Yeah.
But until you've actually raced a circuit, I don't think you've ever completely learned it. And then quite often it'll be, you know, racing it. Normally, someone on the grid that's raced it tons of times, and you learn from them, and you have to learn quite quickly. Yeah.
Fair enough. So, COVID allowing, have you got plans to get out racing this year? And if so, what are you going to drive?
Yeah, so the 2 Litre Cup car, we didn't do anything with it last year. We which was sad. They did run a couple of races last year. It's a European series. And 5 of the Grand Prix tracks in Europe. It's run by a company called Peter Auto. They're the guys that do Tour Auto.
Okay.
They ran a couple of events last year, but we didn't feel that it was appropriate for us to do it. It just seemed wrong. You know, we were running the business and you know, making sure that all of our staff weren't doing anything crazy, and then to go off and just say, "See you guys, I'm off to France to go racing." It didn't feel right, so we didn't do it. So we haven't been in that car since 2019. So the idea is to share that car for 5 rounds. They're 90-minute races, and I'm sharing that car with Andrew Jordan, who's an ex-touring car guy.
Yeah,
good friend of mine. I used to share cars with his dad 20 years ago, so that's quite weird. So yeah, that car for those 5 rounds that should start next month. I can see it probably ending up being 4 rounds, because the first round is end of March, Paul Ricard, and I don't think that will happen. But if it doesn't happen, then it's the Spa Classic in May, which I think we've got more chance of that happening. And then we'd also we've got a newly built 3 Litre RSR, which is 1974, really cool car. So it's not a period car; it's a replica, you know, which they'll allow us to run in the classic endurance racing, which is a really good grid. They have, you know, Porsches, Ferraris, all sorts of great pre-70, I think it's pre-75 sports prototypes and GT cars. So yeah, that car would be on my own. So they're 1-hour races. I race that one on my own, and then the same weekend share the 2 Litre with Andrew.
Cool. Should be a bit of fun, shouldn't it?
Could be good. Yeah.
Last question for me. If you could drive any car on any road or track with anyone, dead or alive, what, where, and whom would it be with?
having driven the 962 Porsche, that's probably would be my favourite car, and I really do. You know, I didn't know much about Group C racing until I raced that car in 2000. Well, it started in 2006. We did 3 seasons with it, but 2006 and 7 we did every race, and then I did a bit in 2016. That wasn't really my era. My era would be GT1. I love watching the GT1s and GT2s. So I think the ultimate for me would have been to team up with Stefan Ortelli and Alan McNish and Laurent Aiello in the Le Mans winning GT1 Porsche. You know, I could have been their 4th driver. And strangely, I was looking at that car. I was sort of, you know, it's like you're sort of looking, had a lot of time in front of a computer sitting at my desk. And it only won 1 race, that GT1. Although that model of GT1, the 98 car, they only won 1 race. They did a whole season, but the 1 race they won was Le Mans in 98, which is obviously the best race to win. Yeah. Only going to win 1. So yeah, I think to have been part of that team would be mega. Really love to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lucky enough to, we did a parade, like a fast parade around Goodwood at the members meeting a few years ago, and that car was there, and it was in the pit garage next to us. So we spent the weekend watching them, you know, warming it up and starting up. And a friend of mine was driving it around the circuit, and I followed him out and drove behind it. You know, so it was. Yeah. I've always liked that car, but I like it even more now. I've been so close to it. Yeah. That would be the car.
Just waiting for the phone call then.
Yes. Yeah. I think the museum are quite precious with it for some reason, but.
Funny that.
Yeah, strange that.
Oh yeah, massive thank you to for joining us today, Mark.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Nice to kind of have a look around and have some sort of face-to-face normality with other people in the industry.
Well, we look forward to inviting people in. You know, we normally encourage it. We love, you know, our coffee machine's well stocked, and we love having visitors. So, you know, as soon as this is over, you know, and we get back to some normality, we'd really love to invite people into the building.
Perfect. For people wanting to follow your work or racing, it's at Paragon Porsche on Instagram, I think, and then at Mark Sumpter for yourself.
Yeah.
And for your websites, paragongb.com, is that right?
Yeah, paragongb.com, and we'll have all the race dates on there. You know, again, because Spa Classic is amazing. If it all opens up and people want to go to one event this year, I think that. And with this Peter Auto stuff that we do, it's a total open, you know, there's no barriers, so people can come into the pit garage, you know, touch and feel the cars, have a good look at everything. It's really definitely worth the trip down to Spa.
You've got a comment, Max Chilton. Mark is the best in the business.
So, Max,
terribly good of him. So yeah, if there's anyone out there who'd be interested in chatting live with myself or Steph, then please do drop us a DM. We can have a chat about getting you on. Thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks for some brilliant questions which have been thrown up there as well. And thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and answering them as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we're here. We love talking to people. So if anyone wants to email us or phone us, you know, with any Porsche questions, we've got, you know, I probably won't be able to answer many, but we've got a good team here of people that can.
Oh, Max is after a drive in the 2-litre Cup.
I want Max to come out in the 2-litre Cup, definitely. Max has got a super cool 73 RS, one of the original right-hand drive cars. Really, really cool, in black. And he had us take the decals off, which I thought at the time was a mistake, but it absolutely wasn't. It looks so cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, cool cars.
So, yeah, we'll be saving this chat to our IGTV. We'll also be putting it up to Facebook and YouTube. So if you want to catch up on anything, if you missed some bits, then go and do that. Yeah, give it a like, please. Drop a comment or tag a friend if you think they'd enjoy it as well. And yeah, we'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much, Mark. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks.
See you later. Bye-bye.